श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। क्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभः निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विशेषे पूर्वगुणां निधेः सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्ते नमः। व्यासम् अष्टनप्तारं शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मं वन्दे शुकदातं भुवनिधिम्। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। नारायणभ्रो व्यक्तादण्डमव्यक्तसम्भवं मण्डस्यान्तस्तु मे लोकः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणे स्वयं व्यासेन कृतितं पुराणमुनिनां मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनीं वात्वा मनसं ददामि भगवद्गीते भवेद्विवेशिनीम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। अवतीर्णश्च कालट्यां गीतारेन्तर्हितश्चेह चतुष्पीडप्रतिष्ठातः चेताच्चङ्करो गुरुः। So, in Jnana-Karma-Sanyasa Yoga, we previously were looking at 19th and 20th shlokas. Yasya sarve samarambhaha kamasankalpavarjitaah jnanagdidagdhakarmanam tamahu panditam buddhaah त्यक्त्वा कर्मफलासङ्गं नित्यतृप्तो निराश्रयः कर्मण्यभिप्रवृत्तोऽपि नैव किञ्चित् करोति सः. So the wise call him. So again we are looking at the one who has given up this karma's attachment. So the Krishna explains that one should know what is karma, vikarma, akarma, and knowing all this, he is the one who benefits from that. The evil will not attach to him. And then he says that the wise call him as the learned, whose actions are without any desires and their causes, and whose actions have been burnt by Jnana-Agni, the fire of wisdom, Jnana. And having given up the attachment for the results of those actions, he who is always contented and who is dependent on nothing, he really does not do even anything, even when he is engaged in the karmas. So even though he is engaged in the karmas, he does not do anything. That means he is not attached. He, in the sense, the Atma here does not do anything, even though the body may be doing some karmas, it is Atma is unattached to all those things. So that's what Krishna says. And then the next shloka we look at is the 21st shloka in this adhyaya. Nirashir yata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurbannapnoti kilbisham. Nirashir yata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurbannapnoti kilbisham. So one who is without solicitation, who has mind and organs under control and is totally without possessions, he incurs no sins by performing the karmas simply for the maintenance of the body, simply for the body. So nirashi means free from expectation, yata is controlled, chittatma is mind and intellect, tektva having abandoned, sarva is all, parigraha in sense of ownership, shariram bodily, kevalam only, karma action, kurvan performing, na never, apnoti incurs, kilbisham is sin, evil. So Acharya Bhagavad Shankaracharya here explains this thing, that one who is without solicitation, so nirashi, that is nirashi is nirgataha ashishah yasmat sa nirashi. So he explains, he defines that nirashi as nirgataha ashisha yasmat sa nirashi. The one whom ashisha, that means is a kind of desire that can be classed under the prayers. So then the one who is without any ashisha, so that without solicitation, having without any of that have departed, those desires have departed in him, who has Yat-Chitta Atma, who has the mind and organs under control. So Yat-Chitta Atma is, Yata-Chitta Atma means the one who has mind and organs under control. Chittam Antakaranam Atma Bhashya Karyakarana Sangatha Tau Ubhavopi Yato Samyato Yena Saha Yata-Chittatma. The one who has been controlled, Yato means controlled. So the one who have been controlled both the internal organ, Chitta, and the external aggregate of the body and organs. That is the Atma here. See, Atma here is mentioned as body and the organs, the externally. And the one who has controlled all this and is Tyaktva Sarva Parigraha, totally without possessions. Tyaktaha Sarva Parigraha Yenasa Tyakta Sarva Parigraha. So one by whom have been renouncing is Tyaktaha. So that is renounced, and all, who has renounced all. So Sarvaha is all. So possessions is Parigraha. So the one who has renounced all the possessions. So again, Parigraha is receiving, accepting possessions, belongings, and different meanings. So here it is the possessions, who has given up all those things. So he has given up on receiving things, he is accepting his possessions, his belongings, all those things he has given up. He does not incur sin. Anishtarupam papam dharmam cha. So he does not incur sin in the form of evil, as also dharma, righteousness. So why does Acharya here explains Bhagavad Shankaracharya, why he explains dharma also sin? He says that dharma also is sin for him. Why he explains is because he says dharmopi mumukshohi kilbishameva bandha padakatvat. So tasmat tabhyam mukta bhavati samsarat mukto bhavati. So he says that for the one who is aspiring for moksha, so if one is mumukshu, so one is aspiring for moksha, liberation, even dharma is an evil because it brings the bondage. So the bondage here we are talking about is the samsara bandhana, right? So if you, the karmas are evil, two things here. There is no kilbisham. The word here we are talking about is kilbisham, right? The sin. So for him, this shloka is saying, for him who is without any solicitation and who has controlled his internal and external organs, chitta and body is controlled all those organs, for him he does not incur any sin. And Acharya explains that sin, whether it is in the form of evil or also dharma, both he is not interested. Okay, because one who is interested in moksha, who is the mumukshu, who is aspiring for moksha, sin and punya, papa and punya, both result in bondage, right? If you have papa or punya, you have to experience that. And to experience, that means more births. So for a mumukshu, for one aspiring moksha, there is no punya. He does not want punya or papa. He doesn't, those things do not get attached to him because he is fully controlled and he does not have any desire for any of this. And by performing the karmas simply, kevalam, simply for shariram, for the purpose of this body, maintaining this body, sharira sthiti matra prayojanam kevalam tatrapi abhimana varjitam karma kurvanna apnoti na prapnoti, without the idea of agentship, even with regard to these karmas. So he performs these karmas simply for the maintenance. If he is performing any karmas, it is simply for the maintenance of the body and nothing else. He, even then, without any idea of agentship, ownership, saying that I am doing this, he performs those karmas. That's how the Acharya explains. Again, the one who is without craving, solicitation, and who has chitta, mind, the internal organ, and the Atma, the body, together with the outer organs, under full control, firmly curbed through pranayama, pratyahara, and so on. All those, he is controlled through those things, who, because of his being self-controlled, is therefore freed from the craving. Again, so there is two things here. One is saying that Nirashi, that means he is without any cravings, and then another one is controlled. Because he is controlled, he is Nirashi. He is Nirashi, and that's why he is really controlled. So such a person, hence, totally without any possessions, one who has renounced everything, all the accessories of enjoyment from this world, this worldly vishayas, objects. A person of this kind, too, by undertaking, again, why he undertakes the karmas? Because of the prarabdha karmas. Because of the prarabdha karmas, by undertaking the karmas through the body, speech, and mind, for the body, for the mere simply the maintenance of the body, in the form of acceptance of a lion cloth or a covering for the body, moving about in bhiksha, begging alms, and so on, which are permitted for a muni by the Shastras. So he performs those karmas, and then again, without the idea of agentship, but with an agentship ascribed to by the others on him. So people say that he is begging, okay, but actually for him, he does not have any agentship. And because he has realized that Atma, which is a non-agent. So such a person, he does not incur any sin. That is the undesirable transmigration, the samsara, which is the result of dharma and adharma. Because in case of one desiring the moksha, even the dharma, like adharma, is a sin, because it is undesirable result, like heaven and so on. It gives that dharma, it gives that. So that's why he does not get attached to any of this, and he does not get any of those sins. Whether it is good or bad, he does not get any of the results. By performing those karmas simply for the maintenance of the body. So that's what Acharya explains here. So again, here Shankaracharya, and also in Gudhartha Deepika, we see that the word Shariram Kevalam Karma, Kevalam Shariram Karma. So this word, the expression here, Shariram Kevalam Karma, do the words here, Shariram Karma, does it mean actions done by the body, Shariram Karma? Does it mean actions done by the body, or is it the action simply for the purpose of maintaining the body? That's the question. Again, why does it matter if the words Shariram Karma means actions done by the body or actions simply for the purpose of maintaining the body? One may ask that. What is the good about asking this question? If whether it is bodily action, Shariram Karma means actions done by the body or actions for the maintenance body. So again, there is two different meanings here, Shariram Karma. One is anything that's performed by the body. Another one is performed for the maintenance of the body. Okay. So what is the meaning here? So that's what Acharya Shankaracharya questions here. Okay. And he explains that if by the expression Shariram Karma here is meant that actions done by the body, okay, then it will amount to the contradiction of the Shastras. Because Bhagavan says, Društva Društa Prayojanam Karma Prati Siddhamapi Sharirena Kurvan Napnoti Kilbisham. Because Bhagavan says, one does not incur sin by doing with his body any action meant for seen or unseen purposes, even though it is prohibited. So that's what Bhagavan says. That's why if the meaning, if the expression is translated or meant as actions done by the body, it is a contradiction. And even if Bhagavan is to say that Shastriyam cha karma društva društa prayojanam sharirena kurvan napnoti kilbisham. So if one does not incur the sin if Bhagavan is to say that if one does not incur the sin by doing with his body some scripturally sanctioned karmas intended to secure the seen or unseen end, then there arises a contingency of his denying something evil that has not come into beings. So this being so, and also there is also another way of looking at it. The specification that Shariram Karma Kurvan, by doing the action with body and from the use of word Kevala, it will only amount to saying that one incurs sin by performing the actions that is called dharma and dharma, which is accomplished with mind, speech, and with come in the purview of the injunctions of prohibition. So again, here, what is the question that Acharya is trying to explain is, when we say shariram karma, whether it is bodily, the karmas performed by the body, or the karmas performed for the maintenance of the body, what it is. Okay. So Acharya is saying that karmas performed by the body is not what is meant here, because that contradicts with what Bhagavan has been saying so far. Okay, it completely contradicts with that. And similarly in Gūdārtha Deepika as well, the Acharya, Sri Madhusun Saraswati explains that the interpretation here is that actions, karmas accomplished by the body, then it does not give any meaning to the phrase kevalam karma kurvan. Okay, only perform the karmas, these karmas, because sharira becomes redundant there. You are performing the karma means you are doing through it the karmas, sharira only, right? So then the word sharira becomes redundant. So that's why, or if it is saying that perform only through the body, not mind, okay, mind is not included in this, then also it gives the contrary meaning, because then even though the karmas performed through the mind, even if it is enjoined by the Shastras, it could be evil. It gives that contrary meaning. So that's why those interpretations are wrong. So Acharya Bhagavad here explains that, on the other hand, the sense of the Shariram Karma here, the expression of this expression Shariram Karma, the sense conveyed by that is taken as actions simply for the purpose of the maintenance of the body, then tada drushta drushta prayojanam karma vidhi pratisheda gamyam sharira vanymanasa nivrutyadam anyat akurvan taireva शरीरादिभिः शरीरस्थितिमात्र प्रयोजनं केवल शब्दप्रयोगात् अहं करोमि इत्याभिमानवर्जितः. So शरीरादि श्रेष्ठां मात्रं लोकदृष्टा कुर्वन् नाप्नोति किल्बिषम्. So Bhagavad here explains that if we take that shariram karma in the sense that it is saying the karma simply for the purpose of the maintenance of the body, the implication is that he does not do any work as accomplished physically or orally or mentally, which are known as from the Shastras, injunctions and the prohibitions in the Shastras, and which we have seen or unseen results, while he appears to people to be working with those very body and the speech and mental and things like that. Even though it appears that he is working, he is performing those karmas simply for the purpose of maintenance of the body, when he is even doing that, yet he does not incur sin, simply making the movement of the body and so on, because the use of the word kevala, merely, simply. So it follows that he is devoid of sense of agentship, implicit in this idea that I do. Okay, he does not have that aham karomi, that abhimana, that idea, that sense of agentship is not there in him, and that's why he does not incur sin. And it is for his sharira maintenance only, his body maintenance only. Even though people seeing him, other people seeing him, may think that he is performing the karmas, but he is actually performing it only for the maintenance of his body. एवं भूतस्य पापशब्दवाच्य किल्बिष प्राप्तं संभवात् किल्बिषं संसारं न आप्नोति ज्ञानाद्यदग्धक सर्वकर्मत्वात् अप्रतिबन्धनेन मुच्यत एव इति पूर्वोक्त सम्यक् दर्शन फलानुवाद एव एषः. So Bhagavad explains that since there is no possibility of a person who has reached such a state, incurring the evil as suggested by the word sin, kilbisha, therefore he does not become subject to evil of the samsara. That is to say that he certainly becomes free without any obstacles, since he has all his karmas burnt away by the fire of wisdom, Jnana Agni. Again, this is this verse, this shloka is only, this 21st shloka is only reiteration of the result of that full knowledge, illumination, as stated in the previous shlokas. Yasya sarve samarambha kamasankalpa varjitaha jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddha. Those shlokas, whatever it said, 19, 20, those shlokas would said, that's what it's repeating again, reiteration of that. It becomes faultless by accepting the interpretation of Shariram Karma like that. That's what Acharya explains. He explains that the karma is performed by him here, Shariram Karma, because the word Kevalam, it is meaning that it is only for the maintenance of the body, not that just that the bodily actions that is performed as everybody sees. And in the case of a Muni, an ascetic, who has renounced all his possessions, since owning the food and so on meant for sustenance of the body is absent. So, for example, we all own the food items, okay, for example, because we want to maintain our body, right? So those things are absent in that Muni. Therefore, it becomes imperative to beg for alms. So he has to beg for the upkeep of that body. Under this circumstance, by way of pointing out the means of obtaining the food and so on, that is for the maintenance of the body of a Muni, as permitted by the Shastras, where Shastras, for example, says, ayachitam asangal kriptam upapannam yadrichaya. So what comes unasked for, without forethought and spontaneously, yadrichaya. So ayachita, so without asking, unasked, and without forethoughtful, so without any pre-planning, sankalpa, without any pre-planning, and spontaneously, yadrichaya. So it comes spontaneously. So what comes before the Muni gets ready for going out for the begging, so for alms. So before he goes out, what comes before him, without any forethought, that alms that are not given with abuses and having not fallen on the ground, but collected from the 5 or 7 houses without any pain, without any plan. So things like that. And spontaneously means, again, his alms are bought to one spontaneously by a devoted person. So again, there are 3 things mentioned. Unasked means that comes to him even before he gets ready to go out for asking. Without forethought means that those alms that are not given with abuses, that have not fallen on the ground, or like, for example, Munis or Brahmacharis go to 7 houses and things like that with plan and things like that. So he is not having any of that. So these are all said in the Dharma Shastra. So with this in mind, that Muni who has renounced all his possessions, it becomes imperative to beg for the alms for the upkeep of body. With this, he can get those such a things which comes as in the form of unasked, without any sankalpa, spontaneously it comes to him. Bhagavan explains in the next shloka how he maintains that body. So he says that yadrucha labha santushto dvandatito vimatsarah samasiddhavasiddhau cha kritvapi na nibadyate. Yadrucha labha santushto dvandatito vimatsarah samasiddhavasiddhau cha kritvapi na nibadyate. So remaining satisfied with what comes unasked for, having transcended the dualities, being free from spite, and equipoised under the success and failure, he is not bound even by performing the karmas. Yadrichya means which comes of its own accord spontaneously. Labha means gain, santushta contented, dvandva is duality, atita surpassed, vimatsara free from envy, samaha equipoised, siddhos in success, asiddho failure, cha and kritva performing, api even, na never, nibadyate is bound. So having remaining satisfied with what comes unasked for, yadrichya labha santushta, and yadrichya labha here again means coming to possess something without having prayed for it, feeling contented with that and having satisfied with whatever that comes unasked for, having transcended all the dualities, that is, one is said to beyond these dvandvas, beyond the dualities, when mind is not distressed, even when afflicted by such opposites as heat and cold, whether one gets or not, his mind is not agitated. And being free from spite, from the idea of enmity, and equipoised, equipoised is success and failure with regard to things that come unasked for, whether they come or not, he remains equipoised. He is samaha, he is vimatsara, without any enmity and without any dualities. Okay, so such a person is being mentioned here. He remains satisfied whatever comes in his way. The ascetic again, who is such, अन्नादेहि लाभालाभयोः समहर्ष विषादवर्जितः, who is equipoised and not delighted or sorrowful in getting or not getting the food and so on, for the sustenance of the body, karmado akarmadi darshi, who sees inaction, etc., in action and so on, as we looked at in the previous shlokas. Yata bhutatma darshana nishtah, who is ever poised in the realization of the Atma as it is. Sharira sthiti matra prayojane bhikshatanadi karmani shariradi nirvartye. So who, with regard to the activities accomplished by the body and so on, in the course of going about for the alms and so on, for the bare maintenance of the body, is conscious of the fact that naiva kinchit karomyaham, I certainly do not anything, I certainly do not do anything. The organs act on the object of the organs. Guna guneshu vartante. So like this, he thinks like that. Naiva kinchit karomyaham. Guna guneshu vartante. So these organs act on themselves. So I do not do anything. I am the Atma. I do not do anything. So if stomach is hungry, the legs will move and hands will go. Okay, asking for something. I do not. I am Atma. I am unattached to this. Like this, he thinks, and he sada samparichakshana atmanah कर्तृत्व भावम पश्येनैव किंचित भिक्षाटनादिकम कर्म करोति. Realizing the absence of the agentship in Atma, certainly does not do any action, any karma, like going about for the bhiksha and so on, for the begging, for the alms, and going for that, for him, for the above. He does not do any actions like that. So, but when लोकव्यवहार सामान्यदर्शने तु लौकिकैः आरोपितकर्तृत्वे भिक्षाटनादो कर्माणि कर्ता भवति. So Acharya here explains that, but when observing similarly with the common human behavior, agentship is attributed to him by the ordinary people. So ordinary people like us, for example, a Muni who has given up everything and who comes to bhiksha for maintenance of the body, even when he thinks that I am not doing anything, when he has that in his mind, when he is fully in that state, still comes for bhiksha, we see that he is asking for bhiksha. Okay, so we attribute that karma to him. We think that agentship is there, and so agentship is attributed to him by the ordinary people like us. Then that Muni apparently becomes an agent with regard to such action as moving about for the bhikshas and so on. So when he is like that, it is considered as he is an agent. When the views in the eyes of the other people, ordinary people. However, स्वानुभवेन tu Śāstra pramanādi janitena akartaiva. From the standpoint of his own realization, which has arisen from the valid means of knowledge presented in the Shastras, he is surely not an agent. And he whom have thus ascribed the agentship by others, who has assigned saying he is an agent, he is the one doing this bhikshas and so on, na nibhadyate, he is not bound even by performing api kritva. So he is not even he is not bound even by performing sharira sthiti matra prayojanam bhikshatanadikam karma kritvapi na nibhadyate bandha hetu karmanah sahetu kasya jnanagna dagdatvat iti. So Bhagavad explains that he is not bound even by performing such actions as moving about for the bhikshas simply for the maintenance of the body, because the action is which is the source of bondage has been burnt away along with its cause by that jnanagni, that agni, that fire of wisdom has burnt this. Thus, that's why this is only restatement of what is previously said in the previous shlokas, in the 19th, 20th, 21st shlokas, where Bhagavan has, for example, said, Yasya sarve samarambha kamasankalpavarjitah jnanagni dharma dagda karmanam tamaho panditam buddhaha taktva karma palasangam nityatrupto nirashaya karmanyapi pravrittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha. So निराश्री चित्तात्मा त्यक्त सर्व परिग्रह शारीरम केवलम कर्म कुर्वन्नाप्नोति किल्बिषम. So all this what Bhagavan said in the previous shlokas, that's what again has been repeated here. He is saying that even though he is going there for these bhikshas, he has no bondage because it has been burnt by that jnanagni. So that's what is explained. And again, we see that a Muni going to bhiksha has been explained in, for example, in Mahabharata, in Ashwamedha Parva, it explains that which comes unasked for without premeditation and through effort that is not contrary to the Shastras, and those are the what has been said for the Munis. And Manusmriti as well says that na chotpata nimittabhyam na nakshatranga vidyaya nanusasana vadabhyam bhiksham lipseta karhi chet. One should never desire to have bhikshas by forecast of calamity, so predict jyotisha. So saying this, oh, it is going to happen, that's going to happen, it's going to, but like this, one should not gain bhikshas. Prediction of portent. So again, the Bhashya, telling of the calamities and the future things, whatever that's going to happen, saying all those things, Bhashya, one should not earn their bhikshas, nor through science of astrology and palmistry, one should not earn, and nor through precept of interpretation of the Shastra. So I'm going to teach you the Shastras and things like that. One should not earn. Shastra Vadabhyam, so Vada, so engagement and explaining and interpretation of those things. So are argumenting. So I'm going to participate in this, and this Shastra Vada Vivada, I'm going to participate. If I win, you will give all those things to me, like this. Okay. So those kind of things also, these are all not allowed for the munis. So, but Shastras allow munis to enter these bhikshas. So that's what has been said here. And this muni, he goes after those bhikshas even without any attachment, without any desires, and with all these karmas have been burnt because of that jnana agni. So that muni is not attached. Even though people see him as performing those karmas, he is unattached to it. He is only thinking about his atma. So then Bhagavad Pada explains, and as a intro to next shloka, and where Bhagavan starts explaining about that muni, that sannyasi's worldly actions, whatever he does not bind him. So that's what Bhagavan explains in the next shlokas, in the 23rd shloka onwards. So Acharya says that when a person who has already started works, karmas, becomes endowed, he attains that realization with the identity with the Paramatma, with that actionless Nishkriya Brahman, when he attains that realization, then it follows that in the case of that man, such a man who has attained that realization, who has experienced the absence of agentship, karma and purposes in the Atma, karma becomes relinquished. So such a person relinquishes the karma. But if this becomes impossible for some reason, he continues to be engaged in those karmas as before, still he certainly does not do anything. So again, he sees that akarma in karma. He does not see any attachment. This absence of action, karma, has been shown in the verses Naiva Kinchit Karoti Saha and so on, having given up attachment to the results of the action and so on in the 20th shloka where Bhagavan said. So that's what has been said. So that sannyasi, even though he's performing those karmas, he's not bind to those results of those karmas, and he's not bound to that. And that's why he is independent. And of such a person, with regard to whom this has been shown, this absence of these karmas, Bhagavan says in the next shloka, he says that Gata Sangasya Muktasya Jnana Avasthita Chetasah Yajnaya Acharatah Karma Samagram Praviliyate. Gata Sangasya Muktasya Jnana Avasthita Chetasah Yajnaya Acharata Karma Samagra Praviliyate. So the one who is mukta, liberated person, who has got rid of that attachment, whose mind is fixed in the jnana, actions, karmas undertaken for the sacrifice get totally destroyed. So we look at this shloka. Gata Sangasya means free from material attachment, Muktasya of the liberated, Jnana Avasthita established in divine knowledge, Chetasa whose intellect, Yajnaya means as a sacrifice to Bhagavan, Acharata performing, Karma action, Samagram completely, Praviliyate means are free. So we'll look at this shloka explanation next time when we gather, and then we will look at one of the famous shlokas in Bhagavad Gita next time.